In this video, I'm going to talk about SUVs and what are the most reliable under 10k. The SUV market is actually pretty wild at the moment, and they're actually better sold cars than electric vehicles. So it's really important that I cover this and find out if they're good family cars and, crucially, off-roaders. Can they beat the traditional Land Rovers and Land Cruisers that are really good at doing this sort of thing? And can they cater for your needs? Let's find out. I'm Cars with Ben. To kick things off, I've started with a brand that is definitely underrated and not many people look at when it comes to off-road, and it's Suzuki. I've gone for the Suzuki Vitara in its 4th generation, no less, and this means it's been around since March of 2015 and still present today. So a lot of people probably haven't seen many of these, especially in the UK, because a lot of people typically go for more expensive BMWs, Audis, Range Rovers, for example. But can it actually go off-road? Well, I actually think it can do a pretty good job. Now, not forgetting, Suzuki has a good history in its family with the Jimny, as you can see here. Now, obviously, that's got more potential to do off-road, but in terms of the Vitara, it has a bit of an all-rounder because it can take family and still be a kind of cool-looking car that might be able to cater to your needs of SUV lifestyle. I actually do like the look of it, but it is a bit awkward in places, I'll admit. However, I think it's definitely underrated and not enough people buy these cars. Not forgetting the Suzuki Vitara is Japanese and really well built, so a definite plus for Suzuki here if you want to go for this option. Now, when it comes to modifying, you could do things like that to it, and when it comes to price, you could get one for just about £10,000. In for the second car is the very reasonably priced and reliable Kia Sportage, the 4th generation model specifically, with the really nicely facelifted version. Now, it's pretty much still the same as the 3rd generation, but what makes this car particularly special is that it is actually a very reasonable price and cheap car, and it's reliable because it's a Kia. Now, like I said, Kia, over the last few videos I've spoken about this, have been up and coming, and the interior of these are very nice place to be, and actually really quite quality to drive. Now, obviously, there's the new version, the 5th generation, but that is way too expensive and over budget, so I'm trying to keep it to a reasonably priced amount. Now, the reason I've chosen the Kia Sportage is not only do my family have one, and I think it's a really good car. Now, you can opt for the slightly more expensive, faster sort of facelifted sporty model, but that is quite a lot. Here's one I found for £9,000. Up next is the Skoda Yeti, and it's one of my favourite cars on the list actually, because it's actually a pretty underrated SUV / family crossover. Now, this is of course the Skoda. Now, Skoda are well reliable for their entry level cars, and these are really cheap now, and I'll go into that in a minute. But what's really important about the Yeti is it's awarded Family Car of the Year, so not only is it going to be alright at going off-road and an SUV, but it's a pretty good off-roader and well-renowned in the car world. And because it's Skoda, like I said, it's going to be reliable. It's going to last for ages in the 1.2 to 2 litre engines, which isn't too bad. Now, some are petrol and some are diesel. I would suggest probably going for the petrol just because of diesel nowadays. However, everything about the Skoda Yeti is pretty good. It's been around since 2009 now, so it's actually got quite a good history, and you can get them in quite nice specs depending on what you get. Now, I crucially would like to modify this personally because I think it's quite a boring in its own spec. Here's one I found as well, and if you wanted it a bit slower, like this one, there's also this. I actually do think it's pretty cool. It does look really cool there, and for £5,000, they're not badly priced at all. Up next is a proclaimed very reliable Volvo, and it is the XC60. I really like these, and I think it's probably one of the most stylish of cars on the list if you're going to go for one out of here. Now, these are proclaimed to be very reliable, according to a lot of the car magazines such as Autocar, Which, What Car, various sources, and I actually really like them. I think it's probably my favourite. Now, you might remember a video where I talked about the XC90 and it got 45k views, as you can see here, and I talked about it being the most unreliable, but with the XC60 it's a completely different story. It's a lovely place to be, and an incredibly nice and well made interior, and I think they've really hit it with the XC60. It does look really good. Now, it's been around since 2008, so it's had time to mature in the market and is still present in production, so that just gives you an idea of how Volvo are very confident with this car. It's also great at off-roading because it's still an SUV crossover. Now, a lot of the engine base is pretty much still from its original family of Volvo concepts, and these cars will go for anywhere from £6,000 to £8,000. You can also get a special sports version. Finally on this list is the Hyundai Tucson, also known as the iX35 or Tucson across the world, and it is a car you probably didn't expect to be on this list as well, and it's probably because it's one of the most not so good looking cars on this list, and I don't think it's particularly nice inside either. Now, it is really well equipped. It's a Hyundai, so they're up and coming, and it's actually a really reliable car. I've heard really good things from these from a lot of the dealers. Say that they're really popular little cars, and even though it's a crossover, is it good off-road? It remains to be seen, and I think it is okay. I don't think many people will take this off-road, let's be honest, but it is good for the family. Known issues, typically you do have clutch problems. but again, that could come with any car. I don't think it's too bad, and it is in its new model now, but that's well out of budget, so here's one for £5,500. As always, I like to make an honourable mention for a few. That is the Skoda Kodiaq, which is really reliable but out of budget, and similarly is the Toyota RAV4, great off-roader. As always, I hope you've enjoyed today's video of the most reliable SUVs you can buy for under £10,000. If you have, don't forget to follow me and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.